We are Team A6 from CMU's Fall 2020 ECE Capstone project course. The members of our team are Minji Kim, Jiamin Wang, and Iris Wang. Due to the recent pandemic, temperature checking has been a must in large organizations where people often congregate. However, thermometers in the current market are either standalone kiosks or handheld. Handheld thermometers can only detect temperature from a distance of up to 4 inches. The person holding the IR thermometer gun and the person getting their temperature taken would fail to conform to the mandated 6 feet that is necessary for proper social distancing. Temperature screening kiosks are at a high price point, at around $2,000 to $3,000. The product becomes unaffordable if the organization wishes to implement at all entrance points to a building.
Our project, Thermonitor, aims to fill this gap and provide an affordable solution for large organizations to easily identify members and keep track of their temperature. Implementing our product will allow organizations to streamline the process of contact tracing and minimize the manual work put into keeping the community safe. Here's a quick demonstration of how our product would be used in a school setting.
Let's go to Capstone. Oh, we need to get our temperature measured first.
A student scans her school ID and waits for the LED to blink green, indicating a valid ID. She then moves her face to be aligned with the face outline on the screen to ensure she is wearing a mask properly. Her temperature is measured and she is able to enter the classroom. Another student approaches the device. She scans her ID and it is accepted. However, she is not wearing a mask, so the device tells her to put one on. Once it is on, then her temperature will be taken and she will be able to enter.
This is what our web application looks like to the administrator of the device. Every time a person successfully scans their ID and gets their temperature measured, this information is reflected on the list of logs shown on the main page. These logs get updated instantaneously, so the user of the web application is able to monitor people entering buildings and rooms in real time without having to physically be there. Now here's a quick demo of how our system behaves when it detects a fever.
Minji, I don't feel so good.
Wait, get your temperature checked.
Okay.
Oh no.
Oh no. Go to UHS.
Now we're going to go through a diagram of our system and talk about how Thermonitor actually works. Users with a valid RFID card will encounter the device and scan their ID. We will be using a microcontroller to handle the logic behind our tag ID verification. Once a user with a valid RFID scans their card, our microcontroller checks whether or not a valid ID has been scanned and then prepares for transmission. A serial communication interface is used to send the tag ID to the Jiamin Nano for further processing. Once the RFID has been received to our main processor, which is the Jiamin Nano, LEDs will blink green or red based on the success of the ID transmission. The Raspberry Pi camera is used to capture the video. This video stream is sent to the Nano, which will be broadcasted back to the user on our monitor. Meanwhile, a face and mask detection algorithm on the Nano will draw bounding boxes around the faces that are detected. We only choose one face to handle in the video stream since there may be several people in the background. There is a face size threshold, and once it passes that, we will identify that face as a person of interest. Once the user is in front of the camera and is properly wearing a mask, our device will start measuring their temperature. We use a medical-grade IR sensor that is able to measure human body temperature with an accuracy of plus minus 0.2 degrees Celsius. After the temperature has been collected, we send the RFID and the temperature information to Azure IoT Hub, which is our cloud gateway. This data is then streamlined to the backend of our web app hosted on Azure App Service. The user can now monitor the information in our web interface, which is updated in real time.
To make all of these different pieces into a single product, we built an enclosure to capture all of our hardware components. Our system is a standalone product that has a single power cord that comes out of the back. We started out with a whiteboard idea of what we wanted. We considered making separate enclosures for each of our components, but in the end, we decided that we wanted to have one complete singular enclosure. The hardest part was making sure that the temperature sensor was close enough to the user while the camera still had a good enough angle to the view of the user. Our final product was designed in CAD, laser cut, and painted. An enclosure was also added to the RFID scanner because we discovered that users tend to physically tap their ID on the scanner. The tap would sometimes disconnect the scanner from the microcontroller and thus terminate the RFID scanning process. With the clear enclosure, users can comfortably tap their ID without touching the actual RFID scanner.
Now we're going to talk a little bit about the design trade-offs and also some in-depth look of the metrics of each component. I'm first going to talk about the facial and mask detection algorithm. We tested our algorithm against a sample size of 20 faces and categorized the different scenarios into 4 different cases. 1, when mask was properly worn, 2, when mask was not worn at all, 3, when mask was partially on, and 4, when there were multiple faces at similar proximity in the frame. Using the 20 samples, we were able to quantify the accuracy of our face mask detection system. We found out that the mask on scenario is correctly detected 95% of the time, and the mask off scenario is correctly detected 99% of the time. However, the mask improperly on scenario is only correctly detected 60% of the time, mainly because when the mask is only worn partially over one's mouth, it sometimes concludes that the mask is on. This resulted in a high false positive mask detection rate. For the 4th scenario, we accounted for situations where multiple faces are present in the frame at the same time. This can happen commonly, especially since our system will be installed in hallways or open spaces where multiple people may be in the frame. After some user testing, we added stricter conditions to make sure that we always choose a face that is most accurately filled into the face outline drawn on the screen.
Through testing, we also realized that a higher resolution video output stream resulted in a lower FPS. FPS stands for frames per second and is the rate at which images are shown on a display. Originally, our video stream had around 4 FPS, and every time the user moved, the response would occur 3 to 5 seconds later. After some user testing, we noticed that the difference in resolution was not as noticeable to the user as the difference in FPS. As a result, we concluded to prioritize FPS over the resolution and settled with 800 by 600 pixels. We were able to achieve 7 FPS, and the response would occur within 1 second of any movement.
Another design trade-off we decided on is regarding the algorithm for face and mask detection. Our first approach involved using hard cascades, which is calculating the sum of pixels to detect certain facial features. After implementation, we discovered that the object detection was extremely slow in the Jetson Nano. This is because the algorithm can't be run in parallel due to dependencies on the previous iterations. We then transitioned to a faster object detection algorithm optimized for running on smaller devices with limited computational capacity. YOLO v3 was a much faster approach since it scans the entire image once at runtime as opposed to Viola-Jones algorithm, which performs multiple scans of the entire image.
This semester's Capstone has definitely been an interesting experience, especially combined with the current pandemic. Although our semester had to be remote and we didn't get to do a public demo in person, this special situation gave us an opportunity to work on an exciting project that can solve a real-world problem for large organizations like our school.
The integration of all our components was a much more difficult process than expected. We definitely encountered some roadblocks in integrating the components and had to spend a lot of time drawing out the workflow.
When we first started our project, there was a lack of good documentation. Sometimes the language used in the documentation did not clarify anything and led to even more confusion.
Another thing we realized was that we cannot blindly rely on the built-in libraries. We encountered many cases where we had to deal with buggy behaviors of the libraries that we initially thought were correct and relied on.
Seeing our final product helped us realize how rewarding the whole experience was. Bringing our product to campus and seeing it in action was exciting, and we could really envision our system being implemented at schools and companies to help stop the spread of COVID-19.
Thank you for following our Capstone journey, and we hope you've enjoyed the video.